On February 3, 2016, hundreds of protesters gathered in downtown Cleveland to march to the federal court building to protest Donald Trump's immigration ban on the 7 predominant Muslim countries. We sat with immigrants from 2 of the 7 countries to discuss the intense and emotionally draining screening process and Trump's motive for the ban. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section.
We did an economic impact study. We know that refugees and immigrants have a 10-to-1 return on investment in the city of Cleveland. We want them. We will pray for them. We will fight for them.
They say that 1/3 of the immigrants, the slaves that came from Africa were forced on ships were Muslims. So again, Muslims that we are trying to ban now have been in the United States for many, many years before even the creation of the United States of America.
I know a friend of mine, two families of, where we used to live together in the refugee camp. And they were coming before the ban. They were supposed to come here. They were returned back from Nairobi airport.
How long were they in the camp?
The same I was, even more.
So we're talking about almost 30 years?
Almost 25 years, I think. And they were returned back from the airport. I can imagine. Imagine you're able to fly tomorrow to the U.S. You've stayed in the camp for 25 years of your life. You have been in the process for 6 or 7 years. And the last day when you have your ticket, ready to board the airline, say sorry. How does that feel?
These people are probably more squeaky clean than most of us who were born in this country. So when Mr. Trump speaks of extreme vetting, he is just making up something, or he doesn't know how the process works, or both. When they get interviewed for a possibility of becoming a refugee, 1 out of 100, only 1 out of 100 gets to be selected to become a refugee. Imagine the odds against you. And then once you are selected to be a refugee, then you can be vetted with your family. The vast majority of those who get accepted as refugees are family members, mostly women and their children. These are not terrorists. These are people escaping disasters. They lost their wealth, they lost their houses, their jobs, their livelihood, and they left everything behind.
Those 7 countries is the most vulnerable countries on the planet, I think.
I'm an American citizen, but I was born in Damascus, Syria, 70 years ago. Came to this country when I was 25.
I've been here about 11 years.
This is my 6th year.
Okay.
The vetting process of refugees and that we have had is very, 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 very already extreme, and we don't need to be more extremes. And I think, unfortunately, Trump is using this as a way to actually just hide behind his Islamophobic behavior and hatred to Islam and Muslims.
And what was the screening process like getting over here?
I will say the screening process to get here was so intensive. It took me about 5 years to come here. So it was extremely, extremely intensive.
It was about 1 year and a half for me.
You said 1 year?
Yeah, 1 year and a half.
All right. And you were at a refugee camp for 20 years?
Yes, I stayed in the Dab refugee camps for 22 years. I think it should be even more than 22.
Refugees who come to this country, particularly the ones who come from the Middle East, and more like the Syrians themselves, they get vetted tremendously. Normally they get vetted by about 12 different governmental agencies. For the Syrians, it increases to maybe about 20. The process takes about 2 years, in which that they ask him everything about their private life, which high school they went, what's the name of their teacher, where have they been. They drill them like no other drill is, and they know everything about them inside out. They get interviewed by the CIA, by I think the FBI, by all the health departments.
So what I'm saying is 21st century, we're not supposed to target the vulnerable people, the people that have civil war, that have dealt with the terrorists, you know, whatever the case is.
And, you know, Trump had promised openly during his election tours that he was going to have a Muslim ban. If you heard Giuliani talking about it, he said that Trump talked to him and he asked him, how could we do a Muslim ban without making it sound like a Muslim ban? So I don't know whether Giuliani was saying it as stupidly exposing Trump, or he's mad at him for not giving him a position in his cabinet and he's getting back at him.
You know, it was a long process. It's back and forth, back and forth. It was tiresome. It was emotionally hurting, because you have to go all this through screening after screening, you know, time and again. And it was not like consecutive things, you know. You have maybe the first time they schedule for your test, then the next one maybe a year after, or maybe 6 months after. And it's intensive though. They keep you a whole day there, asking you questions, you know, from person to person. It was, I don't know what to say. I have no words to describe that. It was tiresome, I think. It's so bad.
Back at him. But the point is that they can call it, it's not a ban on Muslims as long as they want, but it is banned against Muslims and not only.
I feel like the screening process is already extreme and intensive. So I don't see a point where the U.S. government needs to improve and make it twist, make it hard for people. I don't think so. But updates are okay, you know.
And we cannot really turn our head away from people who need us the most. It is really what this country stands for. So if we are denying our character, we are basically removing the ideal of welcoming nation. Well, the reason we are in this position is also because of the failure of the Democratic Party to represent people properly.
Everything.
How does your family back home feel about it?
They feel bad about it. They worry about it, because the reason why is they cannot visit us, and if we go back there, it's hard to come back. You know what I mean? So it's not something that targets individuals, because we are a nation as a Somalian. So it doesn't surprise me at all, because I knew this guy will do something that are unusual, you know. And what I was surprised was how quick it was.
How about you?
I was a little bit surprised, because I was thinking that that President Trump was only doing so during the campaign, that for him to get more votes. But when he gets to Washington, D.C., I thought he will change his mind and, you know, do anything good for the country, you know, not dividing the society, bringing the community to get the society together.
Za'atari, yes.
Za'atari refugee camp. I want to go in on that because I read that they have their own economy as within the refugee camp. Can you talk about that? Because to me, if Trump is the businessman that he says he is and thinks he is, and he has this, you know, financial savvy at Trump University, if you have a group of refugees that create an economy out of nothing, wouldn't it make sense to bring some of them here to maybe keep the economy going?
Well, you have to remember that I don't think this is the focus of Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump's I think, is a white supremacist. And he, as far as I'm concerned, surrounded himself with people of like-minded individuals who their interest is really to keep America white. They assume that only white people should be living in this country, and I've never seen our country the way it is now. I've never noticed or experienced the prejudices that we have, where people now are being emboldened of speaking very arrogantly against people of color and people of other faith, including Muslims.
The American people. For the ban, I think I will urge the government to reconsider its executive order about the ban. That hurts people. It hurts a lot. It divides society.
Reconsider the consecutive order, because it's not something that you play with, the signature, you know what I mean? It's impacts us and it's matter to us, and it makes more harder for our life.
So you saying they should